Hello and welcome. I'm Max or E15NER on Instagram, and today we're going to run through the inspection report for my Porsche Carrera 2 manual 964 generation of the 911. Now, before we go through this, I want to call out that I am not mechanically minded in any way, and please excuse my uh, lack of knowledge for some of the things in here in the report as we go through. Earlier in the week, I put up a poll on my Instagram, E15NER, to ask if people wanted to see a detailed report that has been done by RPM Technic in the UK. And I got a pretty resounding yes to say people wanted to see the details. So I thought I'd share it with you and we can go through in detail and also call out the costs associated with the repairs that I'm going to get done as we go through. So please enjoy. So as you can see here, we've got the front page of the report that RPM Technic do. You can see my details there, the VIN of the car, engine number, my registration, and the mileage, which is 99,668, which is, I'd say, probably fairly normal for cars of this age, 32 years old. Lots of them are higher mileage. It's worth saying at this point, my car hasn't had a full engine rebuild, but we can go into that in more detail in a second and whether it needs one. And yeah, you can see there it's Grand Prix white, my car. So the first thing on here, which I thought was really interesting, is this compression test that was done. So I didn't only have a PDI done, I also paid around £200, I think it was, for a compression test to be done on all the cylinders in the engine. There's obviously 6 cylinders, flat 6 in the 964 Carrera 2, and you can see here the compression loss test. Now, before I go into lots of the details in this report, I need to say I am not a mechanically minded geek in any way. So please, yeah, don't rip me apart in the comments, or do rip me apart. I don't mind too much. But you can see there, cylinder loss test. We've got 17%, 18% on cylinder 2, 8, 4, 14, 8. I didn't know how to interpret this, but I've heard anything at 25% or above by RPM, there'd be some cause for concern. But anything below 25% is well within tolerance and is not actually too much to be worried about. So based off that, my engine is actually very healthy and does not need any form of rebuild at the moment. If one of these cylinders was to go above 25%, then we would need to start thinking about rebuild of the engine. So some of the stuff in here, the ECU stuff I didn't have done. I did have a full service done at the same time, but it's not included in this inspection report. And then the first thing that we go into is diagnostic plugin or fault codes. So you can see there all of the alarms for the car are pass, no advisories or fails within any of those. I won't go into those in detail. There's a lot to get through here, I warn you. You can see here on the electrical function test, which is the next section, pass on ignition, pass on all that stuff. And then interior light, glove box light, reference 1, both not working. So I need some new glove box lights, which is fun. Not a big issue. Boot and bonnet lights, 2. Light out on the left side of the rev counter. I actually noticed that I've only driven the car once at night, and behind the rev counter on the left hand side you can't see the numbers. So I will get that done at some point. It's not something I've been kind of commissioned to do at the moment. I asked them to sort out. And instrument lights dimmer, number 3. Light, oh sorry, we've just been through that. So the boot bonnet lights was number 2. Glove box lamp temperamental. That's actually failed. I can't remember if I asked them to do that, but I'll get them to sort that bit out. Only other thing on electrical, seat adjustment 5, driver's seat switch wired operated the wrong way around. I don't know how that happened, but yeah, we'll probably get that sorted too. It's not a big issue really. Everything else on here is great. Rear wiper, horn, window system, nothing in here that really worries me too much, to be honest, in the electrical stuff. So that is a win, I would say. Interior condition, we've got a few things here. So interior door switch rubbers covers split, crack in driver's door upper plastic cover. It's pass. Driver's door pocket missing screw. Ooh, I don't know where that's gone over 32 years. And passenger door wiring grommet incorrectly fitted. Not sure where that is either. Rear seat backs do not lock into upright position. That's the only fail on there. So that's the rear seats not locking in for some reason. Again, I'm not quite sure why that is like that. But that's something we'll get sorted in the future, not an immediate issue that I'm really worrying too much about. Onto a mechanical function test. So door hinges, door closing, check straps is the only note in here. Driver's door, check strap, bolts loose, and they've tightened them up for me, which is great. Thanks, RPM. Nothing else to worry about. Condition check. So there's something in here. Only advisor in here is nothing securing the bonnet badge into place and gasket has shrunk. So that's the actual Porsche badge on the front. So I need a new gasket there and some screw in the back, I think. I'm pretty sure I can do that myself. I don't need to pay RPM to do that. So I'll get that sorted. And look how thorough this is. I'm actually amazed by how much detail RPM went into here. So this is the external bodywork and trim paint thickness gauge assessment. So they've gone around the whole car and put a paint depth gauge on the paint throughout the whole car, and you can see the depths there. And I guess this would show if someone wanted to buy the car whether this has been resprayed at all. It's worth saying my car had a full respray, I believe, about 10 to 15 years ago. So it's not on original paint. It's had a respray, which I was aware about when I bought it. So again, nothing there that I'm really worrying about. I think the paint's in really good condition overall, to be honest. Tire condition. So there's something here which is really interesting. Near side front, all the tires have loads of tread on them because it's barely been driven. I think it's done maybe 2,000 miles in the past 2 or 3 years. I think I've done 500 miles in it since August, which was, I drove it back from Newcastle actually, which was fun. But yeah, prior to that, I think it had a very, very chilled life for the past couple of years. All the tires are great, but you'll see they've all failed, and that's due to an advisory on age. So they're all Pirelli P0s, but they're from 2017, and I think the advisory on Pirelli is every 5 years to get them changed, which is why they've failed there. Let's confirm that one with RPM because I wasn't too sure. Because yeah, the tread looks good on those. So those that will probably affect the ride. It is something I'll get changed as well if I do any long trips with it. For now, I don't think it's worth spending £1.5 grand or £2 grand or whatever on a full set of new tires. Yeah, but I will get them changed at some point if I plan to do miles in it. Steering components, 2 advisories here. Player near side front inner rack rod end on rack, and near side steering rack gaiter splitting but still secure. I actually haven't asked them to do anything on those, but I will ask them if I need anything there, if there's anything I need to do urgently. Suspension components. Now, overall, they said the suspension was pretty much shot on the car. It's still on the original suspension, all the components, the end plates, etc., all original. So I do plan to change these over either to Bilstein V16s or KW3s. I haven't quite decided yet, but I will be completely changing the suspension on the car this year at some point. Yeah, just need to get that booked in to get that sorted. So whilst we have 2 fails here, on the front wishbone bushes worn and the trailing arm spring plate rubbers split, which I'll get sorted. I'll completely redo all the suspension. You can see there's an advisory that says all suspension components very worn. So suspension needs to be redone. That's noted. Brakes. So there's a lot going on with the brakes here. So brake pipe, we've got an advisory 1, the front caliper to flex pipes aftermarket made from copper. And brake hoses, advisories 2 and 4, brake flexi pipes look original and old, and 4 brake rear flexi pipes are old and have rusty joints. And then caliper condition 3, caliper plates lifted all round. So I've actually asked them to completely sort all these issues out with the brakes. That's something I don't really want to drive around with or leave. So I'm having new flexi pipes, new brake hoses, new rear discs, and new caliper plates all around the car. So that's all been instructed to do, and I can run you through the costs for that, or I will shoot them up on screen as I've just said, all of those things there. so you can see how much it's costing to sort out. And brake disc condition here, you can see, so I've got near side front, so the front brakes both have 28mm of thickness on them and the minimum is 26. So those will need to be done at some point, and I'm not sure whether I'll upgrade those to the big brakes upgrade you can do on the 964, or whether I'll keep them as is. But you can see here the rear brakes have literally just dipped below minimum, so it would actually fail its MOT if I was to do that now. So it's got new OEM rear discs going on and new pads. So you can see that's failed there. Pre-road test and levels. So engine oil level, oil was overfilled, but they've sorted it out because they've done a full service on it. Transmissional being changed on major service. Lots of material on bung magnet, no chunks. I don't know what that means, but they're sorting out on the service. And then 3 brake clutch fluid, 2% moisture content, and needs a brake fluid change. So that's being done too. You can see there's quite a bit of work being done on here. And again, I'll chuck up the costs of all of that as I've just run through it there. Underbody for accident damage. So this is basically where they check if the car's ever been in an accident. And I was actually slightly worried about this because I bought the car off from a well-known auction site in the UK and wasn't too sure if there are any nasties that I would find as we did this. So I was very relieved to see the car has never been in an accident and everything is looking lovely. So minor scruffs to front tub, that's obviously happens when you've driven 100,000 miles, and front tub rubber drain bungs missing, so I can get those replaced very easily. Right, underbody mechanical, engine gearbox torque tubes differential. Clutch flexi pipe looks old, so there's an advisory on there. Clutch flexi to metal pipe that goes underneath gearbox is rusty, and engine mounts worn. So those are actually things I haven't instructed to be done yet, but I will look at those probably next time it goes in for its service next year, just to try and spread out some of these repair costs. So yeah, those will be done next year. And then exhaust system, manifold heat exchangers, so manifold to cat mount point rusted, wearing thin, but it's still airtight, so it's not an immediate thing to get sorted, but yeah, we'll have to look at that in the future if that changes. And then auxiliaries, so nothing to note on auxiliaries apart from windscreen, multiple stone chips, one in driver's eye line. It's actually very small. I think it is, yeah, they called it out in here because they're obviously doing a thorough report, but it's nothing really to worry about at the moment. I'll get a new windscreen if like cracks or chips or whatever any further. And then under trays, all fitted, few tabs missing, but all secure. That's good to know. And then road test and operational check. So foot handbrake, slight judder on the brake. I've noticed that as well. I'm assuming that will be fixed through the new brake plates, caliper plates, and new rear discs. Hoping so. And the new hoses and flexi pipes that are going on the brakes. Gear change, clutch biting point is low. I don't know whether that means that the clutch is near end of life. We'll have to look at that in more detail. Vehicle handling, front end is quite floaty, vague, and steering wheel is slightly off center. I've noticed that too. It doesn't feel that sharp, so I'm hoping the suspension's going to sort that out when we redo that, but we'll have to see. If not, we'll look into that in more detail and do some more investigation. Heating and ventilation system, front mixing flap motor not working, so I'll ask them to replace that. And that's it on the road test. I think we're nearly done here. And then post-road test, coolant fan operation, there's a note against that. Stage 1 cutting on its own, too cold to trigger stage 2, so untested. Oh no, we have one more thing here to go through. Additional comments or aftermarket upgrades. So battery insecure and cables not fitted properly, not refitted. Oh, I know what that is, because my alarm kept going off, so I unhooked the battery and probably didn't put it back on right. So I will sort that out. That's not an issue. Engine lid struts weak at the back. I've actually replaced the front ones on my own, and I will try and do the back ones too. It's quite fiddly, but we'll see if we can do that. If not, I'll get them to do it next time. Near side rear bumper support tube rusting away. Again, not an immediate issue, but I'll get that sorted. Wiring grommet to offside rear lamp unit not fitted onto body. Again, something to look at. Not an immediate issue. Oil pipe from thermostat to filter housing crimp connector rusting away. Um, that sounds like it might be important. As I said, mechanically not too sure what that is, but we can look at that in a bit more detail. And then we've got a fail on here, which is the distributor caps and rotor arms are very burnt out. And this is something that I've asked them to sort out. So I've got 2 new distributor caps and rotor arms that are being fitted to the car. So that's all being sorted. And then starter motor is sticky when hot, and fuel cap seal is split. I haven't actually asked them to sort those things out, but if the might have to look at the starter motor when we go into it again. And that is it. And I realise that was quite a long chat through, but it just shows how detailed these reports are, these PEI reports that RPM do. I'm sure many other reputable garages do too, Porsche specialists. But this has given me real peace of mind now when I'm thinking about uh, how I'm going to use this car, whether I can take it on long trips, all of that stuff, and everything that was a fail in this report, I'm planning to get sorted. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the inspection report run through of the 964. And if you'd like to see more about my journey with my 32-year-old classic Porsche, then please do subscribe or follow me at E15NER on Instagram. Thanks very much. See you soon.